Hey guys, in this month's top 5, I'm going to be talking about my 5 favorite book-to-movie adaptations. I have seen a lot of movies, you guys, and I have seen a lot of book-movie adaptations. So that being said, this top 5 was incredibly difficult to narrow down to just 5. And what I kind of wanted to do with this list was to just mention some of my personal favorites and mention some movies that I don't tend to hear a lot of people talk about on BookTube when they're talking about book-to-screen adaptations. I could have easily put Harry Potter on this list. I could have easily put The Book Thief. I could have easily put Catching Fire. But I wanted to kind of put some different things in this one. At number 5 is the 2007 adaptation of Atonement, based off of the book by Ian McEwan, starring James McAvoy, Keira Knightley, Saoirse Ronan, and Romola Garai. The book Atonement is one of my favorite books, and I really think this adaptation of Atonement is so perfect. It has beautiful cinematography, and there's just a certain amount of grittiness to it, and I think the characters are very well portrayed in this adaptation and just perfectly casted. Just to give you a little idea of what Atonement is even about, it takes place sometime around World War II. It might take place a little before that, actually, and then it gets into World War II. But it's about this girl named Cecilia, and she's in love with her gardener, Robbie, and he's in love with her as well. And it's also the story of Cecilia's little sister, Bryony. And one day, Bryony witnesses an event, which I will not spoil, and what she witnesses, she ends up coming up with a really fantastical lie. And her lie is what basically instigates the entire plot of this book. I also really love the costuming and the period type hair. It's just also very well done, and you really feel like you're in the 1940s when you're watching this movie. And Keira Knightley and James McAvoy, my god, you guys, they have such great chemistry in this, and I love them together. And guess what? Benedict Cumberbatch is in this movie, and oh god, I'm not going to spoil anything about his character, but I hated his character in this movie, and it's just funny because this is one of the first movies I saw Benedict Cumberbatch in, and at the time I was like, oh, I hate that guy, I don't think he's attractive whatsoever. Skip down quite a few years later, and I love Benedict Cumberbatch. At number 4 is the 2005 adaptation of Arthur Golden's Memoirs of a Geisha, starring Zi Zhang, Ken Watanabe, and Michelle Yeoh. Another one of my all-time favorite books. Oh god, this movie is so visually stunning. It's so... oh, I have no words for how stunning the cinematography of this movie is. Just everything from the look of the era to things like hair and makeup, and it's about geishas, and so there's just this really complicated aspect of that world, of that life. Because compared to the book goes into a lot of depth with how the geisha life is, and it does its best to explain how certain aspects of that life are handled, from, you know, the hair and the makeup to the clothing. But it's just really nice to see all of that in the movie rather than try to read it. But just to let you know what Memoirs of a Geisha is about, it's about a little girl who just through circumstances, she comes to find herself at a geisha house, and from a very young age, she soon kind of adapts to that lifestyle, and then she in turn becomes a geisha when she kind of reaches maturity. And it also takes place during World War II in Japan, which is a really fantastic setting. It's also a love story. The main girl, from a very young age, she kind of has a crush on this very much older man who we only kind of know as the chairman, who's played by Ken Watanabe. And so throughout her life, she really admires this man, and so then when she, reaches maturity, she's still in love with this man. And oh, I just love the romance part of this book and movie. It's just so amazing to watch and adorable. And heartbreaking. At number 3 is the 2003 adaptation of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, starring Jason Isaacs, Jeremy Sumpter, and Rachel Hurd-Wood. Talk about spot-on adaptation. I've seen quite a few different variations of Peter Pan throughout the years. There's the Disney version, there's, even Once Upon a Time's version, and then I think there's a few other various ones, like Hook, for instance. I've actually not seen Hook, but I think far and away this 2003 adaptation is flawless, and I think really captures the message and the themes of the book just down perfectly. And I think everyone is so well casted. The acting from Jeremy Sumpter and Rachel Hurd-Wood is a little strange on occasion, because I think this is one of their very first things they even worked on. But even despite that, their strange acting on occasion, they still play so well off of each other, and they have great chemistry as Peter and Wendy. And Jason Isaacs, oh my god, he is the freaking most perfect version of Captain Hook there can be. And Jason Isaacs also plays Mr. Darling, which is really interesting, but also cool, because typically, even in like the stage production, to my knowledge, they typically have Mr. Darling and Captain Hook is the same actor, so I thought that was kind of cool. Do I even need to summarize what Peter Pan is even about, you guys? It's about the Darling children who meet Peter Pan, and Peter Pan takes them off to Neverland, and they have adventures with pirates and mermaids and other things. And Tinkerbell. This movie, I think, seriously started me on my obsession with Tinkerbell. I don't think I ever really cared about Tinkerbell before watching this movie, weirdly enough. But yeah, Tinkerbell is just so great in this movie, and I think she really encompasses the book version of Tinkerbell just so perfectly. And you get to see her jealousy of Wendy and how much she likes Peter Pan. It's so cute. And this movie is also just visually stunning. I think I'm probably going to say that for all of the adaptations in this top 5. But this one, just such a really great look at Neverland. Just Neverland really come to life, and there's a really great scope of Neverland. You're just not confined to this tiny space of Neverland. You really get to see the whole of Neverland, and it's just so cool. And I think the CGI in this movie is incredibly well done also. It could have easily been kind of silly and cartoonish and childish, but everything is so well done in this. The fairies, for instance, I think Tinkerbell, they just did a really fantastic job of making, you know, a little miniature Tinkerbell and her floating around and glowing, and it never looked like she was some chick on wires. And even the crocodile, I think the crocodile is very well done too. And Jeremy Sumpter as Peter Pan, even though his acting was a little odd on occasion, the thing is, I think he really encompassed the character of Peter Pan, and you could tell he trained really hard to become the character, and you can really see it in the scenes where he's flying around, and he just does a really good job of not looking like some awkward kid on wires as he's floating around fighting. But yeah, I've watched this movie on numerous occasions. I could watch it over and over again. It's just one of my favorites, and whenever I need some happy joy, I stick this in. And plus it makes me cry. There's one particular scene, I'm not going to spoil, but there's one particular scene just, oh god, it makes me cry so bad. At number 2 is the 2005 adaptation of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, starring Liam Neeson, Tilda Swinton, and James McAvoy. Wow, you guys, I freaking love this adaptation of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It is amazing. Even though I do love C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia, the thing is, there's a lot about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in general that just, I didn't particularly like that much while reading. It's a very tiny book to begin with, but so much in the story is just kind of rushed and not really given any sort of explanation, and you don't really get to learn about these characters or this world like in depth. And that's what I loved about this adaptation, is that it went beyond the pages and added so much more that C.S. Lewis never really went into. For instance, the big huge battle at the end of the book, you know, between the Pevensies and Aslan and the White Witch. It's seriously like a page or two in the book, But in the movie, it's this really big, huge, long, epic sequence that takes up a good portion of the end of the movie. And it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite scenes. If you don't already know what the Chronicles of Narnia is about, it's about the four Pevensey children who are living during World War II, and their mother has to send them off to the countryside because of the bombing that's going on. And the Pevenseys, they get to their new home, and one day they're playing, and the littlest Pevensey, Lucy, happens to find a wardrobe, and she goes inside the wardrobe, and she comes into Narnia, and it's here where she meets Mr. Tumnus the Fawn, and she learns about Aslan the Lion, who's kind of the ruler of Narnia, and she also learns about the evil White Witch, who has put Narnia in eternal winter. This movie, though, it's just so magical. The special effects in this movie are brilliant as well. Like with Peter Pan, things could have easily been kind of cartoonish, but the CG in this movie is just so realistic. All these creatures, the fawns and the centaurs and the minotaurs, you know, these are creatures with legs, you know, and you know, either a half body of a goat or a horse, and then the rest is a human. And it's just so well done and creative and just so believable. And I really believed the actors doing the Pevenseys. They were so good in these roles. And they're just as good as the adult actors in this, I think. I do enjoy the adaptations of Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader, because I do much prefer the movies to the actual books. But I think The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe just has a very special place for me, and I can always watch this over and over. Plus the soundtrack, you guys. I have two soundtracks for this movie. I have the instrumental music, which I love the instrumental music in this movie. It is so spectacular, and I could just listen to it over and over again on my CD. And then I also have the CD that has like a bunch of Christian artists, and I don't even really listen to Christian music, but I listen to this CD all the time. Just, yeah, get both CDs for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because they're amazing. And at number 1, this may not be a surprise to some of you, it is the 2001, 2002, 2003 adaptation of The Lord of the Rings by J.r.r. Tolkien, starring Elijah Wood, Ian McKellen, and Viggo Mortensen. Oh god, you guys, this adaptation of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, just far and away one of my favorite adaptations. This may be controversial, but the books by J.R.r. Tolkien, I do like them, and I have read them about 2 or 3 times a piece, but there's still something about this adaptation that I just prefer over the books, and I think the adaptations just really go beyond the book, and they're just kind of easier to follow, and plus there's the cinematography of these movies, oh my god, just so beautiful, and I really feel like I'm in Middle Earth. It's just that world is just coming to life. There's just so much detail that Peter Jackson put into these movies, just little minor things, and if you catch them, you catch them. Everything in this world is stunning, and the artists who made everything just put a lot of heart and dedication into just every item that goes into this world. In the casting, oh my god, just perfect casting, just everybody. Elijah Wood, he's Frodo. I mean, he has big, huge blue eyes, and I just love seeing that transformation of kind of this naive Frodo at the beginning to kind of this battle-hardened Frodo at the end, who's just kind of going through some PTSD. And Ian McKellen is totally Gandalf. I can't see anyone else playing Gandalf. And of course, I love Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn. He's so believable in the role. And I also love Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd as Merry and Pippin. They had such great chemistry with each other. And I'm a total Lord of the Rings nerd, you guys. Not only do I sit and watch the movies, you know, the theatrical versions, but I also love to sit and watch the extended editions, which are like over 3 hours. So that's it for this month's top 5. In the comments below, I'd really love to hear what your favorite book-to-screen adaptations are. In the future, I'd really love to do another one of these top 5s, but I'd like to focus on television adaptations, and then I'd also like to do another one focusing on web series adaptations. So that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you liked this month's top 5, you may like these other top 5s. Bye, guys.